She declared we were polyamorous after meeting a guy at a retreat. I said no, so she chose him. He then introduced her to his 3 other partners. Now she wants our monogamous safety back. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. It should have been a red flag when she didn't text me her flight details. Emma was always a planner, a list maker, but when I dropped her off at the airport for her weekend warrior wellness retreat, she just kissed my cheek absently and said, "I'll see you Sunday." Her mind already somewhere else. That Sunday, I stood at the arrivals gate, scanning the crowd. When I finally saw her, she looked different. It wasn't just the new flowy linen clothes. It was a look in her eyes, a kind of distant, buzzy energy, like she'd plugged into a socket I couldn't see. She gave me a quick, light hug, her body stiff. "How was it?" I asked, grabbing her suitcase. "Transformative, David. Just transformative." She spent the whole car ride staring out the window, her phone lighting up every few seconds with notifications from a group chat called Soul Pod. Things got weirder at home. Our usual Sunday night ritual was takeout and a bad movie. That night, she said she was fasting for cellular clarity and spent the evening in the bath with Epsom salts, her phone propped up, her fingers flying across the screen. I tried to give her space. Maybe she just needed to decompress, but a knot was tightening in my stomach. I remember Thursday night. I was making my famous spaghetti carbonara, our favorite comfort food. The smell of garlic and pancetta filled the apartment. She walked in, crinkled her nose, and said, "You know, David, consuming animal products really lowers your vibrational frequency." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. She didn't laugh back. That was the last normal moment. Friday night, she lit a sage stick, something she'd never done before, and sat me down on the couch. Her hands were folded in her lap, her expression unnervingly serene. The knot in my stomach pulled taut. "David," she began, her voice soft but deliberate, "I've had a profound awakening this week. I've realized something fundamental about myself." I braced myself. "Okay, I'm polyamorous." The word hung in the air, heavy and alien. I just stared. "You're what?" "Love shouldn't be confined, David. It's about abundance. The heart expands, it doesn't divide." She sounded like she was reading from a brochure. My mind was reeling. Where is this coming from? We're married. We took vows. What about our life, our plans to buy a house next year? She gave me a patient, almost pitying smile. "Those are just constructs. The universe is asking us to evolve." Then she dropped the second bomb. "I've already met someone who fully sees me. His name is Kai. He was a guide at the retreat. He's helped me understand all of this." My blood ran cold. "You met him days ago, and you're already what? In love with him?" "It's not like that," she said, but her eyes were shining. "It's a connection, a soul recognition." I felt the world tilt under my feet. The carbonara was congealing on our plates. The happy garlic-scented memory from just the night before felt like it was from another lifetime. This couldn't be happening. I just looked at her, my wife, and asked the only question left. "What are you saying, Emma?" The serene mask on her face didn't even flicker. "I'm saying we need to evolve our relationship, David. Kai says that rigid monogamy is a tool of the patriarchy to suppress our true spiritual selves." I ran a hand over my face, trying to find some logic in the madness. "Emma, we've been together for 8 years, married for 5. This isn't a spiritual problem. This is our life. You can't just declare it something else because of a guy you met last weekend." "See, that's your limitation right there," she said, her voice taking on a sharp edge. "You're reducing a profound spiritual journey to a guy." Kai says that this kind of resistance is a fear-based response. Resistance? I'm not resisting a new diet, Emma. You're telling me you want to see other people? I could hear my voice rising, the calm I was trying to hold on to starting to crack. "What exactly are you proposing?" She leaned forward, her eyes intense. "I'm proposing we open our hearts. We can explore this together. Kai can help guide us. He has so much wisdom to share." The pieces clicked into place with a sickening finality. This wasn't a discussion. It was an ultimatum wrapped in spiritual-sounding nonsense. And this Kai was already at the center of it. My stomach churned. So let me get this straight. You want my permission for you to be with this guru who you just met, and you want me to be okay with it. It's not about permission, David. It's about liberation from ownership. Her patience was clearly wearing thin. You're being so closed-minded. This is about spiritual evolution. If you can't evolve with me, then you're holding me back from my highest self. The words hit me like a physical blow. Holding her back, after all the support, the late nights listening to her work stress, the plans we'd built together. She stood up, looking down at me, her expression now full of contempt for the life we'd shared. You want to keep us in this safe, boring little box? You think love is a transaction, one person for another. Kai offers freedom, he offers real abundant love. She took a deep breath, delivering the final cut with a chilling calmness. I can't live a lie anymore. I won't shrink myself to fit your limited vision of love. It's him and the freedom to be my authentic self. Or it's this limitation. I choose freedom. I looked at her, at the stranger wearing my wife's face, and felt something inside me shut down. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, it all just stopped. There was nothing left to say to someone who had already left. I stood up slowly, my body feeling heavy. I looked her in the eye, my voice quiet and utterly drained. Then I guess you've made your choice. I turned and walked down the hall to our bedroom. Our bedroom. I pulled a spare pillow and blanket from the closet and walked back out, past her standing frozen in the living room. I didn't look at her. I went into the guest room, closed the door, and listened to the silence of my marriage shattering into a million pieces. The first week was the worst. The silence in the apartment was a physical presence. I'd walk from the guest room to the kitchen, and the only sound was the hum of the refrigerator. Our bedroom was a crime scene I couldn't bring myself to enter. I functioned. I went to work, I answered emails, sat in meetings, but it was like I was piloting my body from 1,000 miles away. My mind kept replaying her words on a loop, holding me back. Your limited vision, I choose freedom. How could 8 years be reduced to that? I felt like a fool for wanting the life we'd planned, the house, the kids, the boring, stable future she now saw as a prison. I didn't beg, I didn't call. What was the point? You can't argue with a sermon. My friends Mike and Lisa saved me. They didn't try to give me spiritual advice or trash talk, Emma. They just showed up. Mike dragged me to the gym, spotting me in silence while I pushed weight until my muscles burned, trying to drown out the noise in my head. Lisa came over with a six-pack and a pizza and just sat with me on the couch, not needing to fill the quiet. About a month in, Lisa called. Her tone was careful. Hey, so I heard from Sarah, who's still following Emma's spiritual journey online. She paused. It sounds intense. Emma posted a GoFundMe for some guy named Kai's new retreat center. She donated $5,000 to it herself. The number made me flinch. $5,000. That was from our joint savings, the account we hadn't touched since she left, the account for the house. That was never going to happen. Apparently, Lisa continued, sounding uneasy, she's not living alone. She's moved into some kind of communal house with a bunch of other women. All of them seem to be orbiting this Kai guy. A harem. The word popped, unbidden and ugly, into my mind. It wasn't about freedom, it was a pyramid scheme of the heart, and my wife had bought in at the bottom. That was the moment the last flicker of hope died, not with a bang, but with a cold, clear certainty. She hadn't found enlightenment. She'd found a predator, and she had chosen him. The project manager part of my brain, the part that had been dormant under the grief, finally woke up. This was no longer an emotional problem. It was a logistical one, a problem of untangling a failed partnership. I made an appointment with a lawyer. Sitting in his sterile, professional office, I laid out the facts without drama. My wife left. She is involved with a manipulative individual and is making poor financial decisions. I want to protect what remains of our shared assets and formally dissolve the marriage. He was brisk and efficient. Given the circumstances, we can file on grounds of constructive abandonment. She's effectively ended the marriage. He slid a folder across the desk. These are the initial divorce papers. We can serve her once you're ready. I signed where he pointed. My hand was steady. Walking out of that office, I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel happy. But for the first time since she'd lit that damn sage stick, I felt a sense of control. I was no longer a victim of her choices. I was making my own. The path ahead was lonely, but it was mine. And it was paved with something far more solid than spiritual sand. Life settled into a new quiet rhythm. Work, gym, dinner with Mike or Lisa. The raw, gut-wrenching pain had faded into a dull, permanent ache. I'd even started sleeping in my own bed again, though her side always stayed perfectly made. The updates from the outside world trickled in through Lisa, who had become my reluctant intelligence operative. "Okay, this is getting weird," she said over the phone one evening. "Sarah showed me Emma's new Instagram. It's all pictures of this Kai guy. Him meditating, him leading sharing circles, and there are always the same 3 or 4 women in the background, including Emma. They all look strained. It's like a cult, David." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. It was one thing to be left for another man. It was another to watch your wife disappear into a hive mind. A week later, Lisa's tone was more urgent. Sarah ran into Emma at a coffee shop. She said Emma looked exhausted. She tried to sell Sarah on some financial abundance workshop Kai is running. Said she needed to manifest the funds for her share of the new land they're buying. Sarah said it felt like a multi-level marketing pitch, but for her soul. Her share. The words echoed in the silence after I hung up. Our savings. She was draining what was left of our future to buy into his scam. That's when my phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. But I knew. "David, I think I made a mistake. Can we talk? I miss you." I stared at the words. There was no abundant love, no highest self, just a simple human admission of error. The part of me that had loved her for so long twisted painfully. But the newer, harder part of me remembered the contempt in her voice. "I choose freedom." I put the phone down. I didn't block the number, but I didn't reply. She didn't get to use me as an emotional life raft after she set our ship on fire. 2 days later, the voicemail came. Her voice was thick with tears, the serene spiritual facade completely shattered. "David, please pick up. It's not what I thought. It's not freedom, it's chaos. He's not what he said he was." She was sobbing now, hard, gulping breaths. "He has 3 other primary partners. Did you know that? He just introduced us all like it was nothing. We all just serve him. We pay for everything. I have nothing left. I need to come home. I need our life back. Please, just call me, please." The message ended. I sat in the silence of my apartment, the one she'd called a boring little box. Now it was my sanctuary, and she was on the outside in the chaotic, abundant freedom she'd chosen, begging to be let back into the safety she'd thrown away. I deleted the voicemail. The time for talking was over. She called 3 more times from different numbers before I finally answered, not out of hope, but for closure. The project manager in me needed to file the final report. I agreed to meet her, but on my terms, a public park bench midday, no home court advantage for her. I arrived early, the manila folder feeling heavy and final in my hand. She was 5 minutes late. The woman who walked toward me was a ghost of the vibrant, defiant person who had left. Her transformative linen clothes were replaced with a simple, worn-out hoodie and jeans. The light in her eyes was gone, replaced by a hollow exhaustion. She looked like she hadn't slept in weeks. She sat down, not looking at me, her hands twisting in her lap. "Thanks for coming," she whispered. I just nodded. The dam broke immediately. "David, I was so lost. I was stupid. He brainwashed me. It was all a lie. The retreat, the abundant love, it was just a way to get money and in servitude from women." Her words tumbled out in a frantic, tearful rush. "He has a system for everything. Who cooks, who cleans, who gets to who he spends the night with. It's a nightmare. I have nothing. I'm so sorry. I just want to come home. I want our safe, monogamous life back, please." She finally looked at me, her eyes pleading, desperate for the forgiveness and the safety net she was so sure I'd provide. I let the silence hang for a moment, letting her hear the emptiness of her own words. The park was quiet around us. "You called our life a boring little box," I said, my voice calm and even, devoid of the anger or hurt she probably expected. "You said I was closed-minded and holding you back. You said you needed freedom." She flinched as if I'd struck her. "I didn't mean I thought about what you said," I continued, cutting her off gently but firmly. I picked up the manila folder from the bench between us. You were right, I am closed-minded. A flicker of confused hope crossed her face. I'm closed-minded to being one of a man's many partners. I'm closed-minded to being a backup plan. I'm closed-minded to a life of chaos and financial ruin disguised as spirituality. I held the folder out to her. I'm happy with my perspective, and this is me officially setting you free. She looked down at the folder, her hands trembling as she took it. She opened it slowly. The words at the top, petition for dissolution of marriage, seemed to suck the last bit of air from her lungs. Her face crumpled. David, no, please, she choked out, tears streaming down her face. But I was already standing up. I had said everything I needed to say. There was no anger left, no sadness, just a vast, quiet certainty. I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. I heard a sob catch in her throat behind me, but I kept walking across the grass toward the parking lot. The sun was warm on my face. The weight I had been carrying for months was gone, not dramatically, but quietly, like a fog lifting. She had chosen her path, and I had finally chosen mine. And mine led forward, away from the chaos, into the peaceful, predictable future I had always wanted. Alone and perfectly, completely okay with that. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.